First, it was Saturday Night Live that began to make fun of Kamala. Now you've got stand-up comedians like Jim Gaffigan, not exactly a Trump fan, now making fun of Kamala.
Now, I understand some of you may recognize me as the guy who plays Tim Walz on SNL, but I want you to know that I'm going to be fair and balanced tonight, and I'm going to make jokes about both Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. You know, this event has been referred to as the Catholic Met Gala. 22% of Americans identify as Catholic. Catholics will be a key demographic in every battleground state. I'm sorry, why is Vice President Harris not here? I mean, consider this. This is a room full of Catholics and Jews in New York City. This is a layup for the Democratic nominee. I mean, in her defense, she did find time to appear on The View, Howard Stern, Colbert, and the longtime staple of campaigning, the Call Her Daddy podcast.
So Kamala ditched the Alfred E. Smith dinner, sent in a really cringe video that I'm not even going to bother to show here. It was awful. It was not funny on any level. In fact, when they showed it at the dinner, not one person laughed. What I am going to talk about is Jim Gaffigan's monologue, and Donald Trump hit it out of the park.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting for me.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That'll give you a notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Hey, please like and share this video. That's the way that we get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching the Afternoon Drive. Certain things are what we call rites of passage. Back in the early days of television and, of course, the pop culture music industry of the burgeoning rock and roll, if you were going to quote-unquote make it, there were certain invitations you had to have. You had to get invited onto the Ed Sullivan Show, or you had to have Dick Clark bring you onto American Bandstand. That was the rite of passage. That's something that was just expected of you. And the Alfred Smith dinner, held by Catholic Charities, is a big event in New York and is really about funding special charities that are near and dear to the heart of Roman Catholics. And they've been doing it now going on 80 plus years. And during the presidential election cycle, each candidate, Republican, Democrat, come to this dinner. They trade barbs against each other, and then they do some self-deprecation humor, and it's all done in the spirit of fun to raise money. This year, Kamala decided, you know what? I realize I'm having trouble connecting with Arab Americans because I don't hate Israel enough. I'm not really connecting with Jewish voters because I support too much of Hamas and death to America, death to Israel. I'm certainly not connecting at all with men, in particular now young black men, because after all, I support a woke ideology that for the past 3 years has made men the fault of everything. And now, with just a couple of weeks to go, I send my vice president out there to show the world he doesn't know how to load a shotgun. It's because he was trying to jam a tampon in there and not an actual shotgun shell. Sorry there, Tampon Tim. I would go on, late night TV with Stephen Colbert and crack open a beer to try to relate to men. Everything they try to do to relate to men is so cringeworthy. So she decided she would alienate another entire block of voters, Roman Catholics. And Jim Gaffigan, who was the host, decided to point out how problematic this could be.
I mean this in all sincerity. The money that we've raised tonight is significant and will have a positive impact. And after we pressure Mike Bloomberg to give more money, we will break $10 million. $10 million. Everyone look at Michael Bloomberg and tell him he should give more money. $10 million is pretty impressive, you know what I mean? I mean, granted, it could get you a studio apartment in Manhattan, which seems, expensive, especially considering you can get a mayor for 2 business class flights. Did I break I didn't think we had borders anymore. All right, let's go positive here. Can we have a round of applause for First Lady Melania Trump? Who presently has the #1 book in America. This event has been referred to as the Catholic Met Gala. 22% of Americans identify as Catholic. Catholics will be a key demographic in every battleground state. I'm sorry, why is Vice President Harris not here? I mean, consider this. This is a room full of Catholics and Jews in New York City. This is a layup for the Democratic nominee. I mean, in her defense, she did find time to appear on The View, Howard Stern, Colbert, and the longtime staple of campaigning, the Call Her Daddy podcast. Of course, Joe Biden was our second Catholic president, right? After JFK. President Biden couldn't be here tonight. The DNC made sure of that. That's... I guess I'm the only one that reads history. There is one group that baffles me, and I think it baffles most everyone in this country, and I'm talking about the undecided voter. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You don't know who you're voting for? You don't see a difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Like, nobody has ever thought, wait, is that a Trump quote or a Harris quote? The media has begun discussing the phenomena of secret Trump voters. I don't know if you've heard about this. People who publicly say they would never vote for Trump, but then when they go in the voting booth, they do. It's a small group. They're called the Biden family. This has been an interesting presidential campaign. The Democrats have been telling us Trump's re-election is a threat to democracy. In fact, they were so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. In other words, all her dreams have come true. Really? It really makes you consider the power of prayer, right, Cardinal? Sometimes prayers take 3.5 years and a George Clooney op-ed. Yeah. I don't know who's angry, but I don't care.
Great job by Jim Gaffigan. I've always found him very funny. But believe it or not, it was Donald Trump who really had some of the best shots. He really did. He was funny. And here's the thing. People laughed. And it was obvious even by the people sitting up around him, several of them supported him. Now, you can't see in this clip, but off to what would be his right behind him was Letitia James. Yes, the AG that ran on, I'm going to get Trump, whose entire $500 million judgment against Trump is about to be thrown out by the New York Appeals Court. Gone. Sitting right in front of him, Mayor Bloomberg, who is certainly no Trump fan. But right off to Trump's immediate left is Chuck Schumer, little Chuck E. Cheese Schumer sitting there. And Donald Trump started his night off by saying, I used to like Chuck. In fact, I gave him his first check the first time he ran for office. And Chuck had to kind of sheepishly go, yeah, he did. And throughout the night, Trump kind of needled Chuck, who, as the night wore on, his face got sterner and sterner. But Trump did well. He hit out of the park. He conversed with the governor of New York and the Democratic senators that were there. And Trump was Trump. And you got to say this. And I think the American people get this. All right, what's the big deal? She skipped out on a dinner. So what? Here's the thing. Team Kamala is trying to insinuate that Donald Trump is exhausted. He keeps canceling events. He's exhausted. He's tired. And this is a talking point now picked up by the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media. What it really is the heightened security around Donald Trump, though there are events that are on his website that keep getting canceled or changed. It doesn't have anything to do with Trump being exhausted. It has to do with security concerns. You understand that, right? Security concerns, where the Secret Service is saying, Mr. President, we don't have the personnel to make this event happen this way. It has nothing to do. Donald Trump he's like the Energizer Bunny. I've never seen anything like it, especially for a guy his age. He runs circles around guys half his age. Plenty of enthusiasm, plenty of energy. But the other thing with Donald Trump that Kamala won't do, Donald Trump goes anywhere and everywhere. And a lot of times he will go into hostile waters. It's not easy for Donald Trump to walk into a big event in Manhattan surrounded by the liberal elite. He did it. Kamala, on the other hand, doesn't do those things. You know why? She can't handle it. Kamala is not only just an empty suit, she's an empty head. She's a Mr. Potato Head. She is just a hollow plastic representation of what you think a potato is supposed to be. Well, she's a hollow imitation of what you think a human being is supposed to be. Kamala doesn't have the ability to laugh at herself. And it's obvious now that the whole concept of the Joy campaign is over. And if you heard some of her speeches lately, they're just getting nasty mean. She was getting nasty mean with Brett Baer. She wasn't being a boss. She was being a brr. It's true. The handwriting's on the wall. They see the internal polling, and nothing is good anywhere. And so she thought she could best help herself by skipping out on 1/3 of the electorate, i.e., Roman Catholic voters, many of whom live in the swing states because, they're salt of the earth, hardworking, blue collar, middle class, that flyover country that the coastal elites refer to. That's where they live. They're going to remember this on Election Day. And they see that Donald Trump is willing to go into non-friendly waters where he doesn't get to pick and choose the script and the lighting and have, veto power over how the editorial process will look when the interview hits the airwaves. He goes in, he does his thing. He's Donald. You don't have to like his answers, you don't have to like him, but you have to respect the fact he goes. He shows up and he'll tell you exactly what's on his mind. That's incredibly honest. And for all these people throwing at him, he's dishonest, he's a criminal. It's funny. All these indictments you've thrown at him, you can't make any of it stick. You can't find any real crimes he's supposedly actually done, and he's actually incredibly transparent. He will answer questions, and he proved he can be really, really funny.
Thank you, everybody. Well, thank you very much. It's an honor, and it's a true pleasure to be with you this evening. Amazing pleasure. And these days, it's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance. Anytime I don't get a subpoena, I'm very happy. They've gone after me, Mr. Mayor. You're peanuts compared to what they've done to me. And you're going to be okay. I must say I was shocked when I heard that Kamala was skipping the Al Smith dinner. I'd really hoped that she would come because we can't get enough of hearing her beautiful laugh. She laughs like crazy. We would recognize it any place in this room, and all polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be, But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. That's not a pretty sight. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting for me. Tradition holds that I'm supposed to tell a few self-deprecating jokes this evening. So here it goes. Nope, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. There's nothing to say. I guess I just don't see the point of taking shots at myself when other people have been shooting at me for a hell of a long time and they shoot at. But unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was. I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz. The stupid show, The View, is so bad now that the other day I was watching it and thinking to myself, you know what? They really need to bring Rosie O'Donnell back. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. You think this is easy standing up here and doing this? In front of half a room that hates my guts and the other half loves me? Half of us love me. Well, maybe it's, I think 75% love me.